Good evening, Simi Valley. I'm David Marin with the League of Women Voters, and we're bringing you tonight a special candidates forum for the two candidates running for Assembly District 38. This covers most of Simi Valley and then out to Santa Clarita and a little other parts of LA County. We are going to first begin with our League President, Betsy Patterson, for some welcome remarks. Betsy, please.
Good evening. I'm happy to welcome you on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Ventura County. 100 years ago, the 19th Amendment was ratified, giving women across the nation the right to vote. We hold the right to vote precious, since not all people were given that right in the original Constitution. And for 100 years, the League of Women Voters has been dedicated to encouraging civic engagement and informing voters about the candidates and the issues. From its beginnings and continuing today, the League is a nonpartisan political organization. We do not support or oppose any candidate or political party. Each of us has a voice in our government, but only if we use our vote. To be informed voters, we must ask questions of the candidates and understand the pros and cons of each ballot proposition before we cast our vote. This is your opportunity as voters to learn about the candidates and where they stand on issues important to you. Thank you for joining us tonight. We hope you have many of your questions answered, and please be sure to make a plan to vote. Thank you.
Thank you. We will begin with Lucy Velotsky, our first candidate. You'll see a little prompt, candidates, when I unmute you so that you can join in. Lucy, whenever you're ready, click on that unmute option, and then we can get started. Both candidates will have 1.5 minutes for opening statements. Then we'll take responses to questions submitted by many of you when you registered. Finally, we'll have closing statements at the end of the program. Thank you all for watching. At that time now, it's ready for opening statements. Lucy, whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Simi Valley. It's a pleasure to be with you, all of you tonight. My name is Lucy Valetsky, running for State Assembly District 38. I'm an American with an accent. I have a husband, 4 beautiful children, 2 grandchildren, and one on the way. I came here in 1984 from Canada. With my husband, we built a business, it's been 35 years already, for the American dream. Coming back to my children, I have 2 in law enforcement and 2 working in the business. Our American dream went through the drain right now. It's one of the reasons I'm running for state assembly. How can you purchase a house today? How can you rebuild a business? How can you start a business with all this regulation? Our law enforcement, we're losing our law enforcement. Our people, we are not protected anymore. They're protecting the criminal. What about our job, their children, our school education? This is why I'm running for state assembly. And Simi Valley, I'm here for you.
Thank you. Our next candidate, Suzette, when you're ready.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, David and Betsy, for having me tonight and for the League of Women Voters and the work that you've been doing. And congratulations to women across the United States. We have 100 years of exercising our vote and everything that we can do to make our community, our state, our country a better place. I'm a Southern California native. I was born in Granada Hills. I grew up in Santa Clarita, or rather became an adult there. My first job was at Six Flags Magic Mountain. So my history, my story has really been rooted in community service, both from my career path, my professional path, as well as my personal path. When I was working for Congressman Buck McKeon in 2010, I had a niece that was diagnosed as severely developmentally delayed, nonverbal, and on the autism spectrum. That experience catapulted my nonprofit career. I've served as executive director for Autism Speaks. I now own a small nonprofit preschool where I serve underserved children in the San Fernando and Santa Clarita and Simi Valleys. We have got to get our state back on the right track. I'm a small business owner. I care about our community. We have to get businesses open. open. We have to get people back to work. We have to prioritize public safety. We have to prioritize making healthcare affordable and accessible for all. And lastly, we have got to get our children back in the classroom. They deserve and are entitled to a quality education. If you want balance, if you want prosperity for your family, I urge you to vote for that by voting for Suzette Valadares.
Thank you. Thank you, Suzette. We're going to start with you on the first question. One of the issues in Simi Valley and probably around the state is the issue of workforce housing and also those who are not able to find housing, including homelessness. Tell us what some of your policies will be if you're elected in these areas.
Absolutely. You know, one of the reasons I decided to run for state assembly is because my family has been in California for 100 years. They came to California in 1911 and in 1917 for opportunity for their family, for the American dream, for the California dream. And part of that dream is housing, is buying that plot of land that becomes your own. Well, my family started to move. My family moved to Texas, moved to Colorado, because the cost of living is too high in California, because there is a lack of affordable housing. We have a regulatory environment in Sacramento that makes the cost of building, of development, too expensive. One of the things I would like to see done rather immediately is modern day SECRA reform. If we can spur development, specifically development of residential housing and affordable housing, this is not only going to be great for our economy, but it's going to increase the supply, which is too little right now and way too expensive.
Thank you. Lucy, same question to you. What ways do you plan to increase workforce housing and help the homeless population?
But let me tell you, this house crisis started with the bubble in 2007. This is started by our government and our banks, what they did to us. And this is what we end up to pay today in our middle class as far as the crisis we're having right now. The only way to develop, we have to bring more housing, more construction. And this has been so limited for so many years that is one of the reasons right now we are on this crisis. We have to give less, how can I say, regulation. This is staggering, and the cost of this all regulation, it's almost impossible to build houses with a very low cost. Then we have to change that. We have to work with our city to make it more affordable, and we can expand. We don't have to build on top of each other. We have land. It's possible to do a bigger way to bring the homeless issue in a better way.
Thank you. Lucy, we'll stay with you for the next question. And if you were elected, what will be one of the first one or two things you're going to do on your agenda, your policies? Is there something in particular regarding the budget? Is there something you would like to overturn that's already been put in place? So tell us what you will be focusing on immediately when you're elected.
Well, of course, we have to bring our job back, and AB5 killed so many jobs, and we have to downturn this AB5. You see, again, is our government put the nose everywhere. We cannot build anything. We cannot do anything without them to do some regulation, and we all pay for it. The AB5 was built to bring more taxes to the state, and that's what the reason today all our independent contractors pay for that cost of what they want to make on their own to bring the tax in Sacramento. And also we have public safety. We have a big instrument, public safety. Our men and women in uniform, they are not protected. What we have, the protection right now is the criminal. They changed so many rules and laws that we have this problem. And of course, the school. And school, it's a bit depriment for our children right now, what they're teaching. Then I'm looking forward to go to Sacramento and fight, especially to our children, for what they're teaching in school.
Thank you. Suzette, please tell us what you would do first if you were elected, policies, anything in particular you want to uphold or something you want to overturn?
Yeah, so David, when I decided to run for state assembly, the circumstances were very different. California was experiencing record high surpluses and record low unemployment. The pandemic has changed that for all of us. We are facing a $54 billion deficit, and we're facing immediately cuts in the next 2 days if the federal government doesn't provide us about $14 billion to meet the budget that was passed. We are going to have to focus on getting businesses open. We're going to have to focus on getting people back to work, and specifically a step that cannot be missed if we are serious about economic recovery is addressing the lack of childcare. The childcare industry is expecting to lose a third, if not half of the industry. A healthy workforce needs childcare. Some of the things I think we can do to support the childcare industry, support women-owned business, is cut payroll taxes for small businesses. 70% of childcare providers are women-owned business. We have to create some liquidity there for them. We need to make it affordable for parents. I think one of the things we can do is we can expand the childcare flex accounts to include the family caregiver. There are so many women at home being that caregiver, mothers, aunts, sisters, cousins. We have to address the workforce need for childcare. It'll be one of my first priorities.
Thank you. Suzette, we'll start the next question with you. Your district, AD 38, spans Ventura and LA counties. Neither one of you are a resident of Simi Valley. And in fact, your district has very different populations and priorities. I'd like you to please describe your understanding of what voters in Simi Valley need, what priorities you would have for them, and you can share as far as how you look at the whole district as well.
Right. You're right. I'm a Southern California girl. I live in Santa Clarita. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley. And like many of the residents in Simi Valley, our families started off in the San Fernando Valley. They moved to Santa Clarita. They moved to Simi Valley for affordable housing, for the suburban communities, for great schools. These are the things that every Californian wants. They want access to a quality education. They want to own a home. They want support for their small business. These are all areas that the lack of balance in Sacramento is creating hardships for our families in Simi Valley. The cost of living, the cost of gas. We have a huge population that leaves Simi Valley every day to drive into the Valley or downtown Los Angeles for work. The same thing in all of the 38th Assembly District. We need to address some of the issues like the high cost of car registration. We need to address the gas tax, which let me just tell you, if you're commuting to downtown, every time you have to pay 5, even 50 cents more for gas, that hits you in your pocketbook. We have to make life affordable for all residents of Simi Valley, and these are some of the things that I'd like to focus on.
Thank you. Lucy, same question. As far as your district spans both Ventura and LA County, neither one of you is a resident of Simi Valley. Share with us what your priorities will be with Simi Valley residents and how you see the whole district. I'm sorry, Lucy, that's my fault. I didn't unmute you yet. So we'll give you a moment to unmute and then we'll get started. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you very much. Okay, it has been a year now and I spend my time in Simi Valley almost every day. I met so many wonderful people. They reach out to me. And especially in a rally, I met veterans. Veterans really asked me, Lucy, please bring us a veterans center. We need a center we can reach out to take care of our health, of any kind of activities we can enjoy. We don't have nothing. We have to go up to the hill to be taken care of. That will be my priority, my first thing I'm going to take care of. I've been reached out about also child molester and for child trafficking, and it's been a priority because our children been abused a lot by some system, and we have to take care of them. And I'm going to be there to make sure we have the system in place and our children, they will be protected. And also Simi Valley demand that we don't have apartment building that will occupy all over Simi Valley. I will make sure that that can be protected what they want, and they be a beautiful suburb like they've been for so many years.
Thank you, Lucy. Start the next question with you. The community of Simi Valley, the district, the whole state and country has been struggling with the coronavirus pandemic. We're recovering in some ways, but our small businesses have been hammered. Education has been disrupted, childcare disrupted. All of these are important things, and our audience wants to know, what are some of your priorities regarding recovering from the COVID pandemic if you are elected?
Definitely. Again, the fact I'm in business for so long, I can relate with a lot of business owners. And I've been discussing with a lot of restaurants because of COVID, they've been deprived to do good business. And a lot of them, they will never open, or they might lose anytime soon. Then what happened with COVID, they give the restaurant the opportunity to have patio, outside dining. That give them the opportunity for the people to enjoy the sun, the day, the night, to have a beautiful meals that was not possible before. How many of the restaurants they asked to get a permit to having outside dining, always been denied and very costly. Now for them, I'm going to work very, very hard. It become a right. The government, what we've been imposed to close all our businesses, that I'm going to bring that on the table. That would be a right. Whoever want to stay with outside dining, that would be given to them. And as for our children, they've been deprived. We have to bring them back in school. Look, there is some, our kindergarten, childcare being bring to schools. What will make a difference for our other children to go back to school? Then I will make sure everything's been taken care of. Our kids go back to school.
Thank you. Suzette, same question as far as the impacts of COVID throughout the district and the state. What are some of your policies and priorities in helping the community recover?
Yeah, we have got to get businesses open. We have got to get people back to work. And even the CDC recently reported and released that it's not their recommendation to have these extended shutdowns. It's harmful for the mental health of our youth, for the mental health of society, for businesses, for business owners, for those that are unemployed. Some of the things that we're going to need to specifically focus on is, and I think we need to free up some liquidity for businesses. We're going to have to reduce state payroll taxes. We're going to have to, I would like to see a permanent expiration of the $800 business fee to free up some liquidity for small businesses. I want to look at legislation that's going to allow for a flexible work week. There are so many people that have found this telecommuting world, right? Whether you're in Simi Valley, but your job is usually in downtown, but you've been working at home during this pandemic, or whether you're deciding, there are people that are deciding that they just don't want to live in California anymore because it's too expensive. They may be going to other states to work. We have got to address the regulatory environment, and one of those things is a flexible work week. People should be able to decide and work with their employers on what their work week should look like. And the other thing we're going to have to do is repeal AB 5. I think I'd like to go back to the Borrello decision, or we can even modify the ABC decision, but we have to allow gig workers and freelance workers to work, especially during this COVID world.
Okay, thank you. We're going to stay with you, Suzette, for the next question. And you're both women of the 21st century. I mean, what women's health measures are important to you? What do you believe require government support? And what's your position about keeping abortions from being funded by taxpayer dollars?
Right. So yes, I think it's really an exciting time to be a woman running for office, to be a woman in California, to be a woman in the United States. We're celebrating 100 years of that right to vote, of activism. Latina women in California are the fastest growing business owners in the state. It's an exciting time. It's also a very difficult time. There is so much that we have to do to support women. Around my background, working at Autism Speaks, supporting our special needs community, specifically around mental health, is important to me. I think we need to fund our special needs community. I also happen to be somebody who suffered from severe postpartum depression. And that was something for me, it was very difficult to find help, to find a marriage and family therapist. One of the things that we need to do is repeal AB 5, because marriage and family therapists, who are often some of the first professionals to help diagnose postpartum, to give women help, are not exempted from AB 5. When I was looking for help, I couldn't find that help. I lived in an area where I could not find somebody to help me with my disorder. It was difficult. This is for somebody who has resources, who has connections, and it was difficult. And the pieces of legislation that are coming out of Sacramento are only going to make it more and more difficult for women to receive the types of services that are really so vital, especially at this COVID time.
Thank you. Lucy, same question to you. As far as your views about women's health measures, what's important, what should require government funding? What's your position about abortions being funded by tax dollars?
Well, the health issue, it's a big, you see, for me coming from Canada, I can tell you my experience as a social medicine, it's not very helpful. I could have a day to tell you a different story. We need the health to be taken care of for the woman, and not just for the woman, it's for all of us to have the rights of the healthcare. It should be affordable. We need a more negotiation with other states. You see, everything is limited in California. This is why our cost of healthcare is so expensive. We don't have any challenge with other states. And coming back to the abortion, I guess you asked me the question. It's very important to know this is a conscious situation when people decide to do an abortion. For me personally, I'm not for abortion. People has to live with it if they want to do it. And I don't think it should be assumed the responsibility of the government to pay for it. I think they have to take other measures. We have all the possibility today, really, to prevent. Things could happen, but prevent. I'm against to the government to pay any from our taxes to pay for the abortion.
Thank you, Lucy. We're going to start the next question with you, Lucy. Currently, the Democrats have a supermajority in the legislature, and if you're elected, you will most likely be in the minority party as a Republican. So tell us, what will be some aspects of your style? How will you try to work across the aisle to craft meaningful legislation? Are there other elected groups that you'll try to work with, Board of Supervisors, special districts, city councils? Tell us how you will be effective even in the minority.
Let me tell you something. I've been in business for 35 years, and being in business, we encounter different people. And this is I think I have that key of connecting, communication. In the end, it's about communication. Whatever the idea is good or bad, you have to find a way to have a good discussions. Doesn't matter if it's a Democrat, independent, supervisor, whoever you do business with. We talk about business here. We're talking about the life of the people. We care about the people. When you are elected and work in Sacramento, you're not going for yourself. You're going there because the people want to have a better life. And people, they've been forgetting whoever sometimes they're getting in office to take care of this issue. We are here for the people. Enough is enough what's happening in Sacramento or even all in the nation. It's about the people. Let's do it. Let's work together. I'm not afraid to work with anybody. I'm sitting down, I have good communication skills, and I'm telling you, things will happen. Only with me it could happen because I know how to connect and communicate.
Thank you. Suzette, same question to you. You are also a Republican. If you're elected, you'll be in the minority. Tell us some of the experiences or skills you have that'll allow you to be able to be effective in the minority?
Right. I call it the super duper minority. We only have 17 members in the state assembly that are Republican. This will be 18. As I mentioned earlier, my history and my professional career has been rooted in the nonprofit realm. I've already been efficient. I've already worked across the aisle. In my time in advocating for early childhood education policy change and for funding and resources, I was able to work with our county supervisors, with First 5 LA, with Senator Carol Liu on early child education policy. I was able to help secure over $100 million for the over 10,000 4-year-olds that need childcare and preschool services in LA County. Just who I am is somebody, as a nonprofit leader, you're very well aware at the league that it's not partisan. It's our job as nonprofit leaders and as representatives to work across the aisle, to sit down with all community stakeholders, to identify our community's issues and to bring solutions to the table. So I think there is some opportunity to work with members across the aisle whose districts are experiencing the same frustrations, the same lack of affordable housing, the same high cost of living, the same ramifications of the government lockdown and business shutdowns. And I want to work with those members to pass legislation that truly impacts our community. And I will work with whoever is willing to sit at the table with me to find solutions.
Thank you, Suzette. I'm going to start the next question for you. This is a Simi Valley issue, and it has to do with the Santa Susana Field Lab. The NASA is now trying to change some of their earlier commitments about cleanup. The people of Simi Valley have had to suffer with the contamination for decades, and some of this going back and forth. As an assemblywoman, you would have some ability to impose regulations, or at least to try and negotiate with NASA and working with the city councils. Tell us about your understanding of the Santa Susana Field Lab issues and what you think should be done.
Right. So I do think that there is an opportunity to not simply work at the state level, but with our Congressman Mike Garcia and NASA, given some of his committee assignments on ensuring that the cleanup meets the standards of not only state regulation, federal regulation, the overlapping jurisdictions responsible for the cleanup, but also the community's standard. And I would work at the table and sit down with our mayor, Keith Mashburn. I've had deep conversations with him about this, about what the community really needs, and would want to just do a sit down with all of the key players to see where we really are at, where we need to be, and be a voice and advocate for the situation.
Thank you. Lucy, same question to you as far as Santa Susana Field Lab. Share with us your understanding of the issue, what you would advocate for as an assemblywoman.
Well, I've been here since 1984 in Chatsworth. I've been hearing this since 1984. It's been a long negotiations with a lot of different elected officials. We have to look at and who in the past didn't do their job for so long. Things has to change. We have to bring more people on the table, more responsible as an elected official, the kind of influence we can bring to NASA and make it happen fast. It's been too long, nothing's happening. And again, hopefully with the people right now we can work with, like she said, our mayor, our congressman, all our people as an elected official, we should sit down with NASA and say, we have to take care of this problem. It's been too long. We have to finish it and to put a time limit and make it happen. Otherwise, you can bring some fee to it. Good tax, bring money on the tables. Negotiation, it's about negotiation. You don't do the right things, you pay for it. Then we can really ask them to be responsible, NASA, to finish as soon as possible the project. And I'm looking forward to be on the table with anybody who will be willing to sit down with me.
Thank you. Lucy, starting the next question with you. And this has been a record year for wildfires in the state of California. I think over 4 million acres already. a couple of years ago, we had the Woolsey fire, which actually started at the Santa Susana Field Lab and endangered much of Simi Valley for quite a while, including the Reagan Library. So this community is very aware of the concerns about wildfires. What are your plans for wildfire management and mitigation? How do you think firefighting costs should be controlled? Share with us your plans, what you would advocate for in Sacramento.
I know some have been involved with the DWP or Edison, the negligent about taking care of their tree cleaning around the wire and things like that can ignite a fire. But there is more to it. They have to clean up the forest. They have to clean up. They have to give a path. Then if in case anything happened, then the fire department, they can have access more rapidly to extinguish the fire. And also to use all the tools possible, our airplane, at night, to how the technical airplane and, to extinguish as quick as possible. Like I said, it's a cleanup. It's like I give that as a very simple example. You have a garden, you clean the weeds to have a healthier garden. It's the same thing. If you want to have a healthier forest, you have to clean the branches, the dead weeds, everything what is around. And there is a possibility to do it. There is the money out there. They build a train to nowhere with all these taxes they take from us, and it's there to take care of our beautiful forest that we care so much. But again, it's a state issue. They don't take care of our property.
Thank you. Suzette, same question to you. As far as wildfire management, mitigation, controlling firefighting costs, please share with us the policies you would advocate for.
Yeah, this is definitely a problem of a lack of leadership, a lack of resources, and a lack of forest management. And the forests are being mismanaged. Where our forest should be on a per acreage is about 40 to maybe 60 trees per acre in our forest, but it's at 900. When I was working and we're essentially creating this scenario and situation that allows for these deadly fires, there's a lack of leadership and management. When I was working for Congressman McKeon, there was a station fire. And I saw firsthand, the station fire was in Angeles forest on BLM land, but there was a lack of communication between the state, between the county, and between the federal government. We have got to work more closely with the overlapping jurisdictions of governments responsible. We need funding both at the state level, but also at the federal level. The vast majority of our forest lands are actually federal lands. So we're going to have to advocate and bring back resources from the federal government to be a part of the solution. But that requires somebody that can identify this issue, that this is a lack of forest management issue. I'm going to be that voice. I'm going to be fighting for those resources because I'm a homeowner, and everybody in Southern California, especially our district, are very worried not only about their house going up, but the insurance problems that we're facing also regarding the issue.
Thank you. Going to move on to a little bit more high-level question. Let's learn a little bit more about two of you individually, not so much on policies. Suzette, you're up first on this one. Share with us why you chose to be a Republican and what you think distinguishes you from your opponent.
So I have been a lifelong Republican from the moment I registered when I was 18 years old. And as a young Latina, I was told, Suzette, you're young, you're a woman, you're Latina, therefore you're a Democrat. But the way that I was raised and what the Democrat Party, as I understood it when I was 18 years old, didn't represent my family values. My dad was a small business owner who never graduated high school, but worked hard. And he was a mechanic, and he's still a mechanic, and owns a garage and has been able to support our family. I was always told that you don't have to be the smartest person in the room, but if you're the hardest working person in the room, you will be just as successful. I was told to take personal responsibility for my actions, for both my successes and my failures, to give back to your community. And these are all the things that the Republican party stands for. I actually have a right behind me, the original Republican Party platform, which was from the days of Abraham Lincoln. I am proud to be a Republican. Yeah, I am proud to be a Republican.
Thank you. And Lucy, we'll go to you. Same question. What is it that made you decide to become a Republican? What is it you think distinguishes you from your opponent?
Well, for me, a Republican is stand for truth, value, integrity, First and Second Amendment. And this is what I'm very strong for it. Myself coming also from Canada, you know, it's like more a socialist country. The sharing and sharing, I think Republican, it's a learning curve. Everybody has the freedom to grow, not to depend on the government. I don't say Democrat, it's all taking this way because I know there is great Democrat. We will have the extremic on both sides. But for me, Republican represent me better, as like I says, as my value and the integrity and the truth and the love of the people and care for the people, to teach them how to grow, to give them all the possibility of the freedom, the American dream. And it's all about that. I think the Republican, I think it's more on the level, on the playing field for me. This is what I'm looking for. That's why people reach out to me. They understand, I understand them, their pain and where they want to go and what I can do for them as the child molester, as the businesses. I can talk so many different issues. I've been on my camping trail who I've been talking with, and I think this is cover the Republican field to me. I believe, don't forget your first and Second Amendment.
Thank you. Thank you, Lucy. We are going to start the next question with you, though. And this is an issue that has pretty much put the country into some upheaval the last 6 or so months. And that is the issue of racial inequality, social injustice, defunding the police. What is the proper reform for police? Lucy, we'll start with you. Please share with us your thoughts about bringing the country together, bringing your district together, and promoting social equality, racial equality.
Definitely. Let me tell you first, our men and women in uniform, they've been under attack. We have to bring them the respect, what they deserve. And being attacked and doing something wrong, they should be punished like inequality, like if a doctors or teachers or any professions there is. But I don't know why they always attack our men and women. We need them. If we don't have them, we don't have a city, a state of a country. There's so many things happening. Sanctuary city, they're protecting our criminal. What is that? We are good citizens. We don't have no more protections. We have to turn the table around. And the only way we can do that is to fight that in Sacramento. They have also, we have a problem with our DA. They really contradict themselves right now. We have to be careful who we are going to bring as a district attorney in LA. That will change our lifetime if people doesn't make a right decision. There is so many things that are off balance. I'm going to Sacramento to bring balance. We have to bring our law in order.
Thank you. Suzette, same question to you. Share with us some of your views on the issues going on as far as racial inequality, police reform. What are some of the policies you would advocate for?
Well, first of all, I am an avid defender of our First Amendment right, and I agree that it is a responsibility of our citizen to assemble peacefully, and I support peacefully assembly, and I encourage all communities to use their voice, whether it's petitioning the government, whether it's voting at the ballot box, voting for the values that are important to our community. That's who I am. I happen to also be endorsed by law enforcement. I support our police officers. I have the endorsement of the Ventura County Sheriff's Department Association. I come from a law enforcement background. I am pro-police. What's also unique about me and my experience and who I am is my work in the special needs community. When I was at Autism Speaks specifically, one of the things that I worked on was building the bridge between our special needs family, our individuals with autism, and our first responders, law enforcement. You can't see autism. It's not like Down syndrome. It's not like some other disabilities that you can see on somebody. So when you have a 6'3" tall, young man with autism that has an episode in the middle of the street, that has sometimes ended very tragically. So one of the things that I worked on while at Autism Speaks was providing these safety fairs. It gave families on the autism spectrum the opportunity to engage with our first responders, to meet law enforcement. But also we did training with law enforcement to help identify these situations and de-escalate them so they didn't turn into tragic situations. This is some of the experience that I would like to bring with me specifically on this issue, bridging the gap and the tension, and I have the experience to do so.
Thank you. Suzette, we'll start the next question with you, and it's about climate change and mitigating the effects of climate change. Now in California, we have a long coastal line, so rising seas can be an issue. We are also trying to reduce emissions. There's a lot of things that go into climate change, but I'll ask you to share your thoughts as far as whether you believe in climate change. What do you think are the policies that are most important for the state to follow to mitigate climate change?
Yeah, I do believe in climate change. And I think, however, there is a balance between the approaches that we need to make because we all want clean air. We all want clean water. We all want this state, this nation, this beautiful world that we live in to be safe and be there for the next generation. I'm a mom. I have a 3-year-old daughter. The entire reason that I'm running for state assembly is to make sure that her future that is brighter than ever in the state of California that we live in. I think that we have to balance both the economic needs along with the regulatory needs coming out of Sacramento. So I agree in balance. I don't think that supporting the economy and supporting smart climate policy has to be mutually exclusive. And it just comes back simple to this. We want clean air, we want clean water. This is our home, this is our community, this is our world and our opportunity as voters to vote for people who understand the balance of it.
Thank you. Suzette, I'm sorry, Lucy, same question to you. As far as climate change, what is your position on climate change? What are the policies you think the state should be focusing on?
Well, I think it's real, but we have a big problem here. California, they want to lead this climate change and change everything, there is more to it. We have to go with our different country to take care of the problem also. Because we cannot do that alone. Just California is not enough. If you really want to make a difference in the climate change, you have to bring everyone on board to do it. But we know a lot of countries doesn't do it. They could care less. Then where we are achieving here, as much we see the beauty on our country, our state, our green, it's beautiful, our water. But we have problem coming from other country, what they're doing. Then it's more just our state. It's all the world problem. Then if we want to achieve a better way, we really, really have to have a better communication with other country. This is the way I see it.
Okay, thank you. And Lucy, we'll stay with you for the next question. And that is economic recovery for the state. What do you think? Many people feel that there's way too many regulations for businesses here in California, that we're losing business. How will you fight to help the economy grow and to make it that individuals and businesses will not be forced to follow guidelines that they feel are unconstitutional, such as with the COVID crisis?
Well, let me tell you, being in business for 35 years and this COVID killed us ourselves. We have to close one of our stores to be able to survive what we just have left. as far as the regulation. We have to bring a sensitive to all the businesses right now. I know they've been very compliant to help the people, the renter and things like that, but the business has been suffering. And if our business doesn't survive, how we can give jobs to the people, how we can turn the wheel if they don't take care of our business. Then they have to bring some grant incentive, tax incentive, some loan as a very low interest, whatever it takes to keep the machine going. And like it says, our restaurant, they've been dramatically losing everything. We had, like I said, that's what I was talking earlier about, this outside dining that can offset a little bit the income, what they've been losing, but they might not even recuperate anything for the past. But again, the government has to stop and think about our small businesses. They are the backbone of our economy that we've been neglected, not just by COVID, even many years ago. It's been 30 years, I see it, we're going down the drain because they don't care about us. It's about time to wake up and take care of our small business.
Thank you. Suzette, same question to you. What are your policies for promoting economic recovery and serving the economy in general? Your views about fighting for individuals and businesses that are forced to follow unconstitutional guidelines?
Right. I think this has kind of been the theme of the night in many questions, and the things that are priority for me when it comes to being laser focused on economic recovery is getting businesses open, looking at some of the regulations that have made it difficult, not just during the pandemic, but even prior to the pandemic. We need modern day CEQA reform to spur development, to spur job growth within the construction industry. We need to expand access to childcare through supporting small businesses, through opening flex spending, greater flex spending accounts. We need to look at the taxes, specifically workman's compensation insurance that's required for so many businesses that is costly and through the roof. We need to look at insurance, at some of the insurance policies that are trying to push forward that again make it so complicated to do business in California and expensive to do business in California. We need to look at the costs that are constantly coming down from Sacramento, whether it's the $800 small business tax. But we also have to look at the budget, and we are going to have to make some cuts. We're facing a $54 billion deficit. There is extremely wasteful spending going on in Sacramento. Part of who I am and everything that I've done, whether as a small business owner or as a nonprofit director, is looked for transparency, looked for efficiency, and look for accountability in every budget, and that includes the state budget.
Thank you. Candidates, we've reached the end point when we need to move on to the closing statements. Sorry that I didn't get a chance to ask every single question, but we did get a fair number of questions in. Thank you to Simi Valley for such great questions. We are going to do closing statements now in the reverse order. So we will begin with Suzette.
Well, everyone, we have some very important decisions to make in the next 22 days, or if we're counting today, right? My professional experience is rooted in community service. I'm the mother of a 3-year-old daughter. California is home to me. California has been home to my family for over 100 years. We're not leaving. We want to stay. I want to make sure that California offers my daughter the same opportunities that my family came here for 100 years ago. We have to address the high cost of living. We have to address the lack of affordable housing. We have to address the homelessness crisis. Last year, I was walking into 7-Eleven with my daughter, and on the storefront, there was a lady that was lying filthy on a cardboard box. And Charlotte looked at her and looked at me, and Charlotte said, "Mommy, sleeping." And I was thinking, does this lady have a mental health problem? Does she have a drug problem? We're just trying to get a Slurpee on a hot day. And it dawned on me that my 2-year-old can see that something is wrong with this situation, that the homelessness has exploded to our backyard to crisis level. Our children are watching. Our children are depending on our decisions in the ballot box on November 3rd to make the future, to make California a better place for them. I'm endorsed by the California Chamber of Commerce, by local law enforcement, and I hope that I will be able to gain your support and, more importantly, your vote on November 3rd.
Thank you, Suzette. Our next candidate is Lucy. Whenever you're ready, 1.5 minutes.
Yes, let me tell you this. It's not the amount of money you raise. It's not the amount of endorsement you get. It's how many people you can reach. And see the people, they cry on your shoulder. They come and talk to you about they're losing their business. They have to borrow $20,000 to a child to be able to stay open. The people been child abused, molested. This is what I'm reaching out. I'm reaching out thousands and thousands and thousands of people the last year I've been doing my campaign. This is why I am. I'm not a politician. I'm gonna maybe the clear way to say express myself. But let me tell you something. When I say so, I do so. I never miss a time of doing anything I cannot do. And I can tell you something. I'm going there for the people. That's it, what I need. For the people. I love the people. I care the people. And whoever wants me to listen to them, I'm there for them. I'm taking the phone. They call me all the time. You know what? People, we have to wake up. We have to stand up, because what our government does right now, it's not about you. It's about them. And I'm going to be there for you, because I don't owe anything to nobody, and nobody owe me anything. I'm going to for you and fight for you. Believe me in that.
Thank you, Lucy. And before we wrap up, we have two important things. First, I'd like to take a moment to thank the many volunteers at the League who helped. Some of those tonight are Pat Essick, our Voter Services Chair, Betsy Patterson, you met earlier, helping with this forum was Ruby, Maddie, Cheryl. To all of them, thank you very much. And I also want to take a moment to share with our audience an important presentation from the League of Women Voters as far as planning your vote. And this talks about everybody is going to be mailed a ballot. If you're a registered voter, you should have most of those ballots should be received by now. You can return them through the Postal Service, drop them off in a ballot box, or return them to one of the voting centers in your community. For information in Ventura County, you can contact the Elections Division. Now, one of the things that we talk about at the League is the importance of making a plan to get that ballot returned. And we encourage you, if you have not, to try and return your ballot by October 20th. That is the date that we believe is the best day to get it in the mail, so that is received by elections and counted on election night. It's important to know, though, that as long as the ballot is postmarked by November 3rd, it will still be counted up to 17 days after, as long as it's received. And we should all keep in mind that it's going to be a long night. It may be a week or so before we know results in many elections. So we all need to be patient. The League reminds you about a couple of valuable resources. Where's My Ballot.sos.ca.gov is a website where you can put in your information and then track your ballot, so you know, is it in the Postal Service? Is it an election? Has it been counted? VotersEdge.org is a great resource to learn more about all of the candidates running in your area, including ballot propositions. And lastly, the League's website, lwvventuracounty.org. Same place you went to register for tonight's forum. You can go there and view videos of any of our other forums, as well as this one. It should be posted within a day or two. We have one more forum tomorrow night for California District or Congressional District 26. That covers all of Ventura County except Simi Valley. Julia Brownlee and Rhonda Kennedy will be at that forum. You can register. It begins at 5. We are still trying to get Mike Garcia and Christy Smith to agree to do a forum for Simi Valley. We think it's very important that the Simi Valley residents are able to hear them directly speak about Simi Valley issues. But at this time, we've been unable to get both of the candidates to agree to host that forum. So that probably will not happen. I'm sorry about that, Simi Valley. With that, I'd like to thank everybody for watching tonight. I'm David Marin with the League of Women Voters. Thank you, candidates, and good night to all.
Good night.